Oh yes! What's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, dear sweet friends. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea news, and of course, as we gain ever closer to that winter transfer window, a matter of weeks away now, and after hearing certain quotes from Chelsea officials that were inferring Chelsea are going to do serious business, or certainly some serious business in January, the stories, the headlines are coming thick and fast. So welcome back to Chelsea News, where we will reflect on that today. We're talking about exits, we're talking about potential new transfers joining, we're talking about an Italian story saying about how Inter are trying to convince us to sign one of their good players, and they are in financial trouble, which might put us in a strong position, and opening up preliminary talks. I can never say that word, can you? For Leandro Trossard of Belgium, who of course is a very good player and is playing for the Belgium national team. Few people might say he should start for Belgium. Anyway, thank you for joining me. So like, subscribe, comment, and all that good gear, man. Why is that not working, eh? Oh, there it is. Just down there. It's telling you to like and subscribe. Yeah, lots to get into. Strap yourselves in. Boom. First and foremost, well, certainly not foremost, but first up, Hakim Ziyech speaking to the press on Morocco international duty away in Qatar. The most likely, let's be honest, January exit, or certainly the joint most likely, potentially with a return of Dennis Zakaria, rightly or wrongly. I would feel a bit bad for him, but he'll understandably want to play. Maybe he'll have more of a chance back at Juventus. And if Chelsea do indeed sign a much-needed central defensive midfielder in January, you think that there could be those two exits out in the transfer window, Ziyech as well as a return for Zakaria, of course not making any money on a returning loanee. So quickly on Ziyech, the 29-year-old has found it difficult to make an impact at Stamford Bridge since his £33 million move from Ajax in 2020. I loved this transfer, by the way. I thought it was a very, very reasonable £33 million for Ajax's Player of the Year, 3 or 4 years on the trot, in his prime, absolutely mustard. Hakim Ziyech, unique, talented, wonderful left boot, being constantly scoring loads of goals for Ajax, constantly getting loads of assists for Ajax, constantly winning man of the match and lighting up pitches with his audacious football. £33 million. Now, zoom into present day, where Manchester United have just paid, 70-80 million pound plus? I can't remember how much it was for Antony. Antony, by the way, who has yet to outscore a teenage midfielder, Mason Mount, in the Eredivisie. When Mason Mount was a young boy, he went on loan to Vitesse and outproduced Antony for Vitesse as a young midfielder playing deeper. He cost that much for Manchester United, but Ziyech, despite scoring and assisting all the time, cost us £33 million. I thought that was a really good deal, man. And yes, it hasn't worked out for him generally. Yes, he had good times a little bit under Lampard. He had good times a little bit under Tuchel when we played the 4-1-4-1 and he just had license to run the game. But it's a risky tactic, and I just don't think we're suited for him and he's suited for us. I have absolutely the utmost respect for him. He had games where he was amazing, and he's also had games when he was dropping a disaster class. Morocco drew 0-0 with Croatia on Wednesday, and he was asked by the press if he's going to leave to go back to the Eredivisie in January, but, leave Chelsea. And he said it's hard and difficult to say. We don't know what's going to happen. It's winter, it's football, it's so difficult to say. Generic. I think he's going to go. When he's saying that, I think he's going to go. He's been linked with a move away for a long, long time. He was linked to Tottenham, of course, a return to Ajax. He's also heavily linked to AC Milan, which I think is really a likely destination for Hakim Ziyech, and I think could cook over there. And why wouldn't you want to go to the the current Scudetto holders with Leao? Leao will be going, let's be real, but just everyone's having a good time over there, and I think he's got a relationship with probably both Giroud and Tomori that would only have given him glowing reports. He'll start on the right wing over there. He'll have a lovely time. He'd probably cook in Italian football. So if he does go, best of luck to him. Hopefully we'll make a few million on the sale. You can't imagine it would be much, though. Anyway, let's move on. So let's talk about incomings, which is the sexy, exciting part of the transfer window. Although, let's be real, I don't want to call Ziyech deadwood, and I think deadwood's a disrespectful term, but clearing out deadwood's also a good feeling, isn't it? It makes you feel cleansed. Let's start again. You know, wipe all this away, wash it away. Before we talk about the Inter convincing situation story, which is quite interesting, we're going to talk about Leandro Trossard, of course, the Belgium international who plays for the club that seemingly Todd Boehly and Clear Lake love, Brighton. If it comes from Brighton, then heck, we will give you loads of money for him. We love Brighton. This is coming from Football Insider 247.com by Wayne Vesey. Headline, sources, Chelsea opening here's that word again, preliminary talks for Leandro Trossard. Yeah, nailed it that time, huh? Chelsea are ready to swoop in with these initial talks. That's the word I'm gonna use from now on. With Leandro Trossard ahead of a concerted New Year swoop. Sources have told Football Insider. January business, ladies and gentlemen. Weeks away. And hot dog, we need it. Look at our team, mate. They are struggling. The Premier League giants have made Brighton attacker a top target of his his contract expires next summer. So is this the summer? Yeah, the summer coming. So only 6 months left on his deal. Ooh la la, he would be an excellent deal. Brighton are not willing to sell the Belgium international 27 in January, but face losing him on a free next summer. Okay, so maybe he's got 18 months. Trossard is out of contract at the end of the campaign. Okay, so they have a option to extend. There it is. So they've got the +1 deal. So essentially they can trigger an extra year at the end. So in a few weeks' time in January, he will have 18 months left in his deal. Hey, but that's not long, 18 months for a Brighton player. When they get into the final 12 months, you know, you can make like more than probably 50% adding that extra 6 months. Like, you can really crank up the price more than, you know, but it's losing at mid-season, always sucks balls. The £25 million valued attacker was in an outstanding form before the mid-season break, with his 14 Premier League matches yielding 7 goals and 3 assists. So a winger for Brighton has got 10 Premier League involvements in 14 appearances. Probably not 14 whole games either. Pretty darn good, you'd have to say. I'm sure if he came to Chelsea, would bring that right down to 3 or 4. That haul included a hat-trick at Liverpool, at Anfield. Yes, of course. Last month in Roberto De Zerbi's first game. It only ended in a draw there. Trossard, who has amassed 22 Belgium caps and 5 goals to date, which, by the way, for a 27-year-old, is good to have 22 Belgium caps, because he's obviously, especially considering he played for Brighton, it was like a Galactico starting Belgium team. So to muscle his way in is pretty good, I guess. The winger, who has previously been linked with Arsenal, joined Brighton from Genk in 2019 for a reported £18 million. All right, so they did fork out some peas for Leandro Trossard. £18 million for the likes of Brighton. That's a lot, you know. He's notched up to 25 goals and 14 assists in 118. So that's where the stat falls down. And essentially, his good form is coming as late. But remember, this guy's been playing all over the gaff, you know. And lest we forget, Potter, Chelsea's current manager, Graham Potter, played him as a wing-back. Not always, of course. De Zerbi's high-flying side sits 7th in the Premier League, despite seeing their season disrupted by Potter leaving for Stamford Bridge. We all know about that, ladies and gentlemen. Potter is now looking to bring his old winger to Chelsea after already rating the former side for a key backroom personnel, of course, as well as, well, he hadn't, but we had rated them for Mark Cucurella. Just last week, the Blues finalised the arrival of the South Coast head of recruitment, Paul Winstanley. Yes, like I said earlier, if it comes from Brighton, we'll have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that looks nice. Is it from the coast? Yeah, we'll just pay over the odds and have it. Look, I do feel a great deal of confidence in the general movement and seemingly new ethos of Chelsea Football Club and the plan. And yes, it's a dirty word, but the process. And you know what? I am keen to trust the process, because there is a friggin' process. And prior to this, there was no process. You know, drink every time I say process. Look, recruitment staff, joined up thinking, sporting directors, football directors, technical directors. These were stuff of dreams, but years ago when we were buying Danny Drinkwater and Bakayoko and Zappa Costa, and it goes on. It really does go on forever. We all dreamed of joined up thinking, a philosophical way of playing football and buying towards that for a long, long time. That's what we're doing now, even though it's shit on the pitch. But we got good players, but not enough. We need new midfield, and we need... I know it sounds like a spoiled brat, but we need new attackers. Sell the old ones, in with the new ones. Let me know what you think, comment down below, and let's move on. Let's move on. There you go, transition page. Right, I'm jumping into Sport Witness, Global Football Intelligence. They are citing Corriere dello Sport from Italia, and they're talking about Denzel Dumfries. Now, we've spoken about this at length. We spoke about Tino Livramento, maybe buyback for 25 million, but Chelsea long have been looking at Dumfries as a strong option to play at right back, right wing back, behind Reece James, not playing Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek, and the aging, but, good Azpilicueta there. It's time to get a dynamic, appropriately profiled alternative. You got Cucurella and Chilwell, we've got Reece James, and that's right, it's time to buy one. Let's have a look. Chelsea, so the club want to, quote, convince Chelsea to buy a player in January. Absolute willingness to negotiate. And I imagine this is what Brighton don't have about Leandro Trossard. Let's have a little read. Over the course of the summer, Tuchel wanted another right back, which is why we saw a lot of talk about Chelsea being interested in Denzel Dumfries. Pause. Before as well, is that when we were trying to buy Hakim Ziyech? No, it's not Hakim Ziyech. Hakimi. Because Tuchel wanted Hakimi, if you remember, for a while. Following his Euro 2020 performances, the Dutchman's stature in world football has grown quite a lot, which led to his move from PSV to Inter that same summer. His task was to replace Achraf Hakimi, which he has somewhat done, and the interest from the Chelsea, I'm going Italian now, only grew stronger. However, with Inter initially thinking they were going to sell Milan Skriniar, they didn't want to lose two key players, and so they blocked the advances from the Blues for the right back. They said the same about Romelu Lukaku when they sold Achraf Hakimi to Real Madrid? Yeah, where's Achraf Hakimi? Paris Saint-Germain. Jesus, my brain is scrambled with football. But they ended up selling Lukaku, and I wish they hadn't. However, with Inter, initially we've read that, so they, as Corriere dello Sport point out on Thursday, which is hot dog today, they say this, quote, the scenario has changed. With the Slovakian now set to stay at, as in Milan Skriniar, to stay at the Serie A side, they need to make around 60 million euro by next June to balance their accounts. Of course, they've got really rich owners, Inter, but for a long, long time, they've been in financial trouble. When they got Conte in and bought a load of players, everyone thought they were great. They won the Scudetto, they won the league, but there was financial trouble in the background, and they had to sell off a load of their limbs. That's why Conte left. He was like, well, no, you're going to have to sell players. I can't compete here any longer. He left, and eventually, after a few months out of work, joined Tottenham. And they sold, they lost Conte and probably higher wages and, transfer requests from him. They lost Achraf Hakimi, one of their best players. They lost Romelu Lukaku, their talisman at the time. But they still need to generate money from financial issues. Currently valued at, quote, well over 40 million euros. There is hope for Inter that a good World Cup will make that grow. So this is Denzel Dumfries. 40 million euros, what's that, 38 million pounds? Absolutely no problem with that. How much well over, And again, we've spoken about buying players after a good World Cup in January. Both red flags. They recalled Chelsea's interest. Oh, you wanted this guy. We recall that. And that the Premier League side wanted to include the Dutchman in the Romelu Lukaku deal. I guess that would have been, you can have Lukaku back if you give us Denzel Dumfries and 20 million pounds, considering we'd only just spent 100 million on Lukaku the summer before. Yes, it wasn't a good season, and yes, we understand we're not in a strong position to sell him back to you, but, I understand that. They didn't, so that didn't fly with them, but times have changed, and now there's, quote, absolute willingness to talk about Dumfries, end quote, in the coming months, and the most advantageous solution would be a sale as early as January, provided the fullback remains on loan until the end of the season. Look, we need a right wing back and a right back, so if we can get him in January, to keep him in January, let's have him. Correa do state that there is a plan to convince Chelsea, in quotations, to do just that, but the Italians first need to find out what the Blues' plans are. It's stated that the appointment to discover them at the end of the World Cup, with Inter hoping in the meantime their player increases his value with great performances in Qatar. So they're in financial disarray still, Inter, and they're trying to convince Chelsea to buy. Look, how do you feel about that? Do you like it? Because that would have been a Christian Pulisic at Dortmund situation. We bought him in January. He came over. I think he even came over and did some PR stuff and then went back to Dortmund. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But we loaned him back to Dortmund for 6 months, and it was a deal that suited both parties. This is what Inter are seemingly hoping we'll do here. We buy Denzel Dumfries in January, announced that he's coming to Chelsea. He had a good World Cup. Look, here comes a right wing back for next season, a right back. La 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 la. Everybody happy. He may be like, yes, I'm joining Chelsea. I'm focusing on the rest of the season with Inter. Who knows? Maybe Chelsea say no, we need him now. Who knows? Maybe Chelsea saying no thanks. We're gonna go and buy a right wing back, right back elsewhere that we can use now, and that makes more sense for Chelsea possibly. Either way, if you said to me, Jan, what if you could do like one deal in January, it'd still remain midfield. I still am adamant we need to bulk up our midfield. Look, if Ziyech goes and you can get another attacker in, but it's so tricky, man. Because if we play better in the midfield and get the attackers the ball more, because our XG's been so low before the Qatari World Cup break, we need to get the XG up, and to do that, we need to sort out our midfield. Maybe wing-backs as well, light up, because without Reece James, we're screwed. Fortunately, touch wood, Reece James is going to come back, though. Yeah, midfield, look, if Leandro Trossard comes in January, he's going to expect to play for Chelsea, and if he's playing for Belgium, and look at Chelsea, where we are on the table, and look who's managing us. Trossard would probably expect to start. Maybe he deserves to as well. You guys would rightly highlight the situation with Armando Broja deserves a chance, and yes, he deserves a chance with a functioning team actually generating chances for him to score goals. That's all important. And, let's not discount the likes of Amari Hutchinson, who many of us are really, really excited to see and hope to see. It's a shame that Vale generally plays on the left-hand side, because if he could play on the right-hand side, no, not Vale, Hall, sorry. Hall, excuse me. Vale is more of a forward. If Hall could play on the right-hand side and wasn't just sort of a left side, he's a midfielder, but he plays as left back, left wing back as well. Because if he played on the right instead and was dropping those performances on the right as a youngster, I think he'd be the most appropriate backup of them all. But what do you think, guys? Comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on everything we've spoken about. Feel free to drop a like, subscribe, the interactions, shares. Does anyone share anymore? You can share it, right? Share the video. Guys, I look forward to seeing you on the next one very, very soon. Take care. Peace.